Yeah. So we were speaking last time how a person has to make sure not to have sad thoughts. You can have sad thoughts for this when you do teshuvah, but after you finish doing teshuvah, you shouldn't have sad thoughts and negative thoughts during the day. He says the opposite. He says when you feel bad thoughts coming to you, you should be happy. He says why? He says because now you have the ability to fulfill a mitzvah. And what's that mitzvah? The mitzvah is Lo taturu achei levavchem charei einechem. He says you'll be when you refuse to dwell on a negative thought and you push it out of your mind, so you're going to fulfill the mitzvah of not following after your heart and not following after your eyes, which means that you're not allowed to have thoughts of avodah zarah and thoughts of immorality. So you see, the Torah commands us to push away bad thoughts. So when you push away a bad thought and you have bad thoughts coming to you, some people say, "Oh, look how many bad thoughts coming to me. Look how of a rasha I am. Look. It's so depressing. I can't believe why I always have these thoughts, anxiety, depression." The person has to know you have the opportunity to do mitzvah now. You have the opportunity to fulfill the mitzvah of pushing away these bad thoughts, and you get a mitzvah out of this. And therefore, he says that it's not, this pasuk is not referring to tzaddikim, right? Because the tzaddikim they don't have this test like we do. Rather, this pasuk is talking about beinonim, simple people like us, who have potential to fall into having bad thoughts. So you fulfill this mitzvah of pushing away these bad thoughts. And the Gemara says, when you could have done a sin and you don't do it, it's considered a mitzvah also. So therefore, every single time you have a bad thought, you push it away, you fulfill a mitzvah. So therefore, you have to be lismoah. You have to be happy. Every time you did a mitzvah, you should be happy. So therefore, you shouldn't be upset. He says, where does sadness come from? This is something very deep that the Tanya says. He says, Adraba atzvut hi megasuta ruach. He says, a person who has an inflated ego, that's why he's sad. Why are you sad? Because you think your life should be this way. And you're sad that it's not that way. You're sad you expected something, and I should have made money, or I should have married so-and-so, or I should have, shoulda, coulda, woulda. And that comes from where? From ego. From gava, haughtiness. Why? Because if you really are humble and realize that I don't know anything, and Hashem knows everything, and Hashem knows what's best for me, so then where I am right now must be the best for me, and therefore I shouldn't be upset. Oh, I want to be over there, not over here. That's your gava speaking. That's your ego speaking, because your ego is not letting you accept whatever is happening to you. Your ego is saying, no, this is not good for me. I need to be there. And since I'm not there, that's why I'm sad. So says the Baal Tanya, all sadness and depression comes from ego, comes from having expectations and not fulfilling those expectations. And Hashem says, why do you have those expectations? Who told you you deserve that? Who said, take for example, who said we deserve to walk? There's people who don't walk. Who said we deserve to see? There's people who are blind. Who says we deserve to be able to eat bread? Some people cannot eat bread. Who says we deserve to have money? Some people don't have money. Who says we deserve to be Jewish? Some people are not Jewish. So all these things, you should look at it like, wow, we were blessed. Hashem didn't have to give us when He gave us anyways. But people who expect and say, what do you mean? Of course I'm supposed to be healthy, smart, wealthy, successful, all these things, marry at the right time, and have everything fine and dandy in my life, because that's what's supposed to be, because from somewhere they imagine that they deserve all these things, and then when they don't get it, they Hashem, what did I do wrong? Why are you against me? Why can't I get married? Why can't I make parnasah? Why am I having health issues? What's going on? And they get sad about it, is because they feel entitled to it. It's the Yetzirah to feel like Hashem owes me something. And Hashem doesn't owe us anything. And we have to realize that everything we have is a blessing, and we shouldn't feel entitled, we should feel grateful. And that's the biggest problem. Today, the depression, that people want to go on pills for depression, all that stuff. Depression, what do they give you? They want you to feel the dopamine. When you feel dopamine, you feel good. When you realize everything you have is a blessing, so then you'll give dopamine to yourself naturally. You don't need to have these pills to give it to you. And a lot of times, why are you missing dopamine? Because you feel entitled. And even if you have a lot of good in your life, but you feel you're missing something, that one something could cover up all the good, chas v'shalom, that you get good in your life, and you feel sad still. You see a guy, his father's a multimillionaire. His kid's sitting home doing drugs, depressed. What are you doing? Why? You have so much good in your life. No, but I want it to be like this, I want it to be like that, and it's not like that, therefore I'm depressed. He has a lot of gava, he has a big ego. And if he wouldn't have had this ego, he would have realized that he has so much good in his life. he says, the ego causes you she'eno makir mekomo. You don't realize your place. You don't realize that you're asking for things that might not be good for you. You didn't realize that you didn't remove the impulse of evil from inside of you, and therefore that's why it leads to all this foolish thoughts. Because if you would have known your place, and you would have known that you're not a tzaddik and you don't deserve all these things, you realize that you're really far from being a tzaddik. And halvai, you would have been a benoni. So then you would have realized that's why Hashem didn't give you all these things that you wanted. But when you think you're a tzaddik and you have an ego, and then you start expecting things and they don't come out the way you want, that's when you get angry, that's when you get sad, that's when you get depressed. So therefore he says, to remove real sadness, the deepest and at the root, to remove sadness is to be humble and to remove your ego. Therefore, with every time you push away bad thoughts, so another thing you should realize, another benefit of pushing away bad thoughts, is every time you push away a bad thought, you're subduing the sitra achra more and more. Meaning, the sitra achra tries to give you bad thoughts and negativity and try to control over you. And when you go and you say, no, I'm not listening to you, I push you away, I'm going to have pure thoughts, holy thoughts. So now you just broke the sitra achra a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more, and you loosen the clutches that potentially sitra achra could have on you. And through this, that you push yourself and push away bad thoughts down here, Hashem will help you and send an assistance from above. So therefore he says, how does he come to you? Number one, he wants to inflate your ego. That's why in Pesach, it's called the Sa'or Shabayisa, right? Chametz represents inflated bread, air full of hot air, makes it bigger than it is. Really, the dough was flat, like matzah, and then the hot air makes it bigger and makes it chametz, which is an inflated ego. So that's what the Yitzhak wants you to do: inflate your ego, make you think you're the king of the world, you're a Baba Sali, and therefore, well, you deserve everything. And that way, the bigger you are, the harder you fall. And therefore, that's why you have to not give in to this trick. You have to push away these bad thoughts, and you have to realize, why didn't I get what I needed or what I wanted? Maybe there's something I did wrong. Did Hashem do something wrong? Or did I do something wrong? Who's the suspect over here? Of course, Hashem did the right thing, right? Hashem is tzaddik, tzaddik mishpat ve'en avin. He does no wrong. He has no wrongdoing. So I did the wrongdoing, or I didn't deserve it. Whether this Gilgul, previous Gilgul, today, or the month before, or week before, whatever it may be, I did something wrong, and therefore that's why I didn't get what I wanted to get. And therefore, that way, you remove your ego and you realize that there shouldn't be upset. I deserve what I deserve. That way, no one will ever be downhearted. You won't be too sad. As long as you fight this milchama and you'll remove this sitra achra from inside of you, there will be no reason why you'll be sad, you'll be happy, you'll be able to push away bad thoughts, and you'll be able to have your mind and your chokhmah in sitra de kusha, not sitra de achra. Baruch Adonai.